DogWorks Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dog Works. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by First Paw Coffee Company, specializing in private label premium blend coffee. If you're serious about coffee, you should check it out. First Paw Coffee's passion is high-quality, small-batch roasted coffee. They take the extra time to taste and get everything perfect before they release new blends. They aim to bring you a cup of happiness each time you pour yourself some coffee. Find out more at ak.dog/free and enter for a chance to win some First Paw Coffee prizes, a book from our collection, and tote bag. One winner will be selected at random each month. That's ak.dog/free.
From First Paw Media, sponsored by Alaska Dog Works Professional Canine Training Center in Anchorage, Alaska. This is DogWorks Radio, committed to families and their dogs to build lifelong and fulfilling relationships. Visit our website at dogworksradio.com. Now here are your hosts, Robert and Michelle Forto.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Robert Forto and you're listening to DogWorks Radio here on KVRF 89.7 in the Mat-Su Valley. RadioFreePalmer.org is our live streaming site and you can hear all of our episodes over on dogworksradio.com. Be sure to check us out on social media by searching DogWorks Radio. And today we have a special guest calling in, a dog trainer from Sweden. Her name is Cari Rorstrom. Cari, how's it going today?
It's fine. I'm just heading home from work, actually.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us today. Can you do us a favor and introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you're all about, please?
Yes, you told everybody. My name is Cari. I'm living in the north of Sweden. I have a dog training company called Top Dog, and I have 20 dogs myself. It's 4 Australian Shepherds, and the rest is sled dogs, racing sled dogs.
Well, you know, I'm really intrigued by your story because, number one, I'm a dog musher, and number two, a dog trainer as well. And I know we did an interview on our sister show, the Dog Driver Show, but today I want to really focus on dog training because there's not a heck of a lot of us professional dog trainers that are also dog mushers. So my first question to you, Cari, is how long have you been a dog trainer and where did you get your start?
I've trained my own dogs or my family dogs since I was a little child, but I started with my company about 15 years ago. I had been competing some dogs in obedience and agility until then, and I felt that up here in the north there was they needed someone to help them with training and to have puppy classes and stuff like that. So about 15 years.
So 15 years ago, you got started. So my next question, Cari, is here in the United States, dog training is very popular. You know, a lot of people get started with their puppies and, you know, it just kind of goes from there and we progress through with puppy class and basic obedience, then canine good citizen and advanced obedience and all that. How is dog training perceived by the public in Sweden? Is it a very popular activity?
It's no, the sport is quite small, but it's I guess most people do like puppy class with their young dogs, and then some of them go to do other activities with the dogs. But most are just happy with the puppy class, and then they have the dogs more like a pet, and they train them just with everyday obedience. But there's some people doing like dog sport, and then you keep going to classes through all the dog's life, I guess.
So,
as well.
so in Sweden, what is the most popular dog? Here in the United States, it's the Labrador, the Golden Retriever, the German Shepherd, and the Poodle. What are the most popular in Sweden?
I think it's probably the same breeds on the top of the list here in Sweden as well. We also have some of the hunting dogs, like the hunting for moose or birds, are quite popular as well. But otherwise, it's the Border Collie and the Labrador and the German Shepherds are quite popular.
Cari, I know you're heavily involved with dog sports, and I know you have Australian Shepherds and do all sorts of stuff with them, and you guys have some amazing photos I'm going to put a link to on the show notes page. But let's go back to the puppy obedience classes with the regular the regular dog owners, or the pet parents, as we call them here in the States. Is it just your basics, potty training and crate training and sit and down and that sort of stuff, or do you add some other tasks in there as well?
I honestly, I don't have too much of the potty training or the crate training. You're not allowed to have dogs in crates in Sweden, so that's another problem, and we don't have that on the classes. And I don't even train sit and down so much. I do a lot of other stuff with the on the puppy classes, like playing with the puppies, walking on a leash, of course, without pulling, the recall coming when you call the puppies, and also a lot of waiting, like the dogs are waiting for a command or for something to happen. So and we also do the last meeting, we have the different way of having fun with your dogs. We try like tracking and a lot of ways you can just train your dogs in easy ways. So we don't do as much as sit down and heel and stuff like that.
So more socialization and manners versus strict obedience, right?
Yeah, and I think that it's and I think at least when you have a puppy, it's really important to get like a good connection with the puppy and play a lot with it, and then you can do the other training when it gets older. But it's and also it's good to get the people to start thinking about what they want their dogs to do and start to train them before they get problems, like what you want the dogs to do when you meet other dogs, or when the doorbell is ringing and stuff like that. So they and also they to teach them to start looking at the dog and catching the behaviors that you want to have and reinforce them in the daily life, instead of just training no and sit and stay and stuff like that. So just the dogs are training every minute it's awake, it's training. So you just need to keep an eye on them and praise them and reinforce when they do something you want them to do, not just in training. So I a lot of basic like that we use on the classes.
That's very good advice for sure. Cari, we have been on the air here on the show for a little over 11 years. We've had dog trainers on from all over the world, from Australia, New Zealand, South America, South Africa, of course, in Europe. And I'm always really interested in about how different cultures see their dogs. And, I only have the understanding of how we perceive them in the United States as members of the family, and sometimes we give them birthday parties and all sorts of stuff. But in South America, it's much different. Dogs are not necessarily part of the family, but they're there. They're just, they may not even have names, but they live in the house and that sort of thing. How are dogs perceived in Sweden? Is it very much the same as it is in the U.S.?
I think it's getting more and more towards the U.S. way. Like my dogs are my best friends, and that's what I also teach on the classes. That you need to be your dog's best friend. So you need to take them to places. You need to celebrate their birthday. You need to like do stuff like that. But they still have to be dogs, of course. But it's I guess it's split as well. It's with the hunting dogs. They mainly live in a kennel and they get out when it's hunting season, and they are probably more like a tool than the pet dog or the other dogs. But it's I guess it's more like the U.S. than the other country you were telling about.
So do dog owners in Sweden, do they spend a heck of a lot of money on dogs? Of course, here in the United States, we're always buying toys and treats and all sorts of fancy stuff for our dogs. Do they do that as well there?
Yes, we do. Especially the ones that are competing their dogs and training their dogs. It's just like you need to have the latest gear, and you need to have colorful toys. And even if the dogs would just prefer an old sock with a tennis ball in it, you spend tons of money on toys and gear to your dog. And when you need to buy something for yourself, it's just like, no, it's too expensive. So yes, we do spend a lot of money on the dogs.
Very interesting. Cari, if we could go back to something very important that you said, you had mentioned that in Sweden, dogs are not allowed to be in crates. And people have different definition of what a crate is. My definition is something like you would fly the dog in an airplane. Is that the same thing you're talking about?
Yeah, it is. So you're not... If you're going to lock the dog in something indoor or outdoor in Sweden, there's specific rules that about the size. So in a crate or in a small like the fly crate or something like that, you're not allowed to have the dogs in crates like that. You are allowed if you're transporting it in your car or on a flight, of course, but not in your house. So then if you have a crate indoor, you need to remove the door from it. So you can have it like as a house for the dogs to go in, but you're not allowed to lock the door. I always teach my dogs to be in a crate, because if they get injured, they need to be in a crate. And then I also tell my puppy class participants that they need to train the dogs to be in a crate, but you're not allowed to leave them in a crate by themselves or stuff like that. So that's the rule we have in Sweden.
So earlier you learned about First Paw Coffee Company, and now I'm going to tell you about its Tail Wagger Blend. First Paw Coffee Company's Tail Wagger Blend is their first offering, and its name and label were crowdsourced from their Facebook fans. How cool is that? The Tail Wagger Blend is a private label premium blend that was developed just for them. It is a medium roast from Colombian beans with tastes of Brazil nuts, grapefruit, and oak. Be sure to go to ak.dog/free and enter to win a bunch of cool prizes. That's ak.dog/free.
Let's switch over to sports and working dogs here, and another compare and contrast with different countries. In Germany, and I believe in the Czech Republic, in order for the dog to be registered with their kennel club to receive papers, they have to compete in Schutzhund or some other type of sport first and do very well in that. Do you guys have any type of rule like that with the registration of dogs in Sweden?
We have a special group of dogs that is under the working trial club in Sweden that need to have to be registered. They need to have done like a mental test. But that's all. But to be, if you want to do like a dog show with your dog from the working breed, you need to have competed in herding or tracking or search and rescue or some of the working trials to be a champion, but like a show champion, but not for registration. It's just a mental test for the working dog.
You know, that's very interesting. Here in the United States, it's actually backwards from that. All the dogs have to be registered first with the American Kennel Club, and then they can compete in, the tracking trials or the agility trials or obedience trials or whatever. But of course, a lot of times they do that so that they can have registered puppies to breed. But it's my understanding, very similar to in Europe, in particular Germany and Czech Republic, it's similar to that in Sweden, where if you have a working dog, you have to do that with the registration. Is that right?
Yeah, to be able to do the working trials, you need to have a registration. Your dog has to be purebred, and you have to be registered in the kennel club. But to do like obedience, rally obedience, agility, nose work, and stuff like that, you can do that with all dogs. So it doesn't have to be registered to do those type of sports.
Here in the U.S., you often hear people talk, pet parents, if you will, say, oh, I have a registered Siberian, or I have a registered Labrador Retriever, or whatever. And that's a really big qualification when they talk about their dogs. Is that the same in Sweden, where everybody says that they have a purebred and it's registered with the Kennel Club, and that's an important distinction?
No, I don't think so. It's I think a lot of people think that they buy dogs that is registered in the Kennel Club, because we have this other system that we register the dogs in as well, with a chip number in case it gets lost. Uh-huh. And a lot of people that buy dogs, they think that if it's just registered in that authority, that's enough. So I don't think that. I think it's. It doesn't matter if you have a purebred or a mixed breed in Sweden. It's not like no, it's not.
Yeah, here in the States, it's almost a status symbol, like, ooh, look what I have compared to what you have. And unfortunately, we're very much regarded with status here in the States, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, it's not the same here.
So let's talk about what you do with your dogs on your Facebook profile and your business page, the Top Dog page. It seems like you do a lot of events with your shepherds. Is that right?
Yeah, I do. Mainly, I do tracking and search and rescue and obedience with them. That's what we compete in.
So
we have also we do also rally obedience and stuff like that. But we mainly do like the working trial with the tracking or the search and rescue and obedience.
So with the shepherds, Cari, do they have a favorite thing to do? Of course, they're definitely in the herding group, so they love to herd things, to track people down and keep them in their place, so to speak. Do they enjoy that the most, or do you find that they really like agility or rally or search and rescue? What do your dogs like to do the best?
I think that of course, herding is the thing that they like the most, but we don't have any animals to train that on, so we don't do it. But they like the tracking and the search and rescue best, where they can be in the forest and track persons or search for them. Where they can do, we do the work together, but they are like in charge of the training but they also love the obedience, of course, the obedience part of it. As long as they get their reward and their toy, they can do anything. But they like more the working trial with the tracking and search and rescue and the rally obedience and stuff like that. It's not as important for them. They do it, of course, but it's not as important.
Right. So, Cari, at the top of the show, I mentioned that you are also involved with dog mushing, and I will say, as I mentioned also, I am a dog trainer and a dog musher, and I tell you what, I have learned more from my sled dogs that I use in my work with regular dogs, pet dogs, than I ever thought I would. I literally live with a pack of sled dogs, so I understand behavior and interaction and socialization and, aggression and fear and all these things. I have pretty much a laboratory in my backyard. How do you see yourself with using your sled dogs in your daily life as a dog trainer?
I totally agree with you. They have learned me so much. I use a lot of the things that I see when I'm with the pack every day, and I just study them, how they talk to each other and how they behave. I use a lot of that in my own training with the dogs as well. So it's they teach me a lot in behavior and how to be as a trainer as well.
Right. So I love as I said, I love talking to people in different countries about dog training, and I've learned a lot about what you guys do in Sweden. But if something were to change, positive or negative, in the world of dog training, whether it's in Sweden or someplace else, what are you looking for in terms of change? Is there something positive down the line or negative that people are doing that they should not be doing?
I think that the dog training is developing all the time, and there's always new stuff to pick up. And I think it's important when you train your dogs for trainers that you pick out the things that feels okay for you to do with your dogs, and you don't have to buy everything. So I think it's individual as well what suits different persons. So something that suits me well might not suit somebody else. So it's I think it's really important to be open-minded and just think that, okay, I don't want to do that, but I'll try that instead, and don't just So, but it's developing all the time, and I train my dogs in a positive way, but I'm not afraid to say no to them, or I'm not afraid to tell them that was wrong, but in a good way. I think that's it's probably getting a bit better now, at least here in Sweden, but it has been like in training that if you say no to your dogs, then you're a bad trainer. So you should just say like good things to your dogs all the time. But I think for myself, I can tell my dogs that was wrong. Try again, do this instead. But I'm always trying to give them something to do when I tell them that something is wrong. Then I always say, try to do this instead.
Cari,
so hopefully that will change.
Yes, for sure. Cari, I have just a couple of more questions before we go. My next question is, here in the United States, dog trainers on TV are very popular. You know, we have Animal Planet, and we have Cesar Millan and Victoria Stilwell and all sorts of other dog training celebrities. Do you have anything like that over in Sweden on TV?
Actually, we have the same that you have. we see yours on TV. Which we had a few from Sweden as well, but we don't have not any big ones.
And are they popular with the dog owners?
I think that if you don't know how to train your dogs, you get really impressed by Cesar Millan and stuff like that, and you hear a lot of people going around saying shh, shh, shh to their dogs, but it's I actually don't like it myself. I've been looking at his shows, and I understand that when he's talking about the energy and stuff like that, but I'm not really comfortable of the other ways that he is training the dogs. But it looks good on TV, and people think that it's good and it's gonna work. So a lot of people are watching those shows, but it's like Sweden is split. Somebody likes the ways, and the rest is not liking it. So I guess it's the same in the US.
I agree with you. Cari, two more questions here. My next question is, you said that you have Australian Shepherds, if I'm correct. Why did you choose that breed? Why is that one of your favorites?
I like the herding breeds because they are, I think they're easy to train, not so always, and they like to be close to their pack, and they don't have the really high hunting instincts, and I like the size of them, and I like also that they are guarding dogs and also herding dogs. But I live in the middle of the forest, and I need some dogs to keep me safe as well. And they have, they just love to work. They can work for a whole day, and they never give up. So that's also something that I like.
Okay, Cari, last question here. Can you tell us, or actually it's not a question, but more of a comment, I guess. Can you tell us a quick story about one of your dogs? It could be about one of your sled dogs or one of your shepherds. Just a very quick story about something that may make somebody smile.
Oh my God. What should I choose? I have this. My oldest Australian Shepherd she's turning 10 now soon, and she's still behaving like a puppy, but she's the best human trainer I've ever met. She trains anybody to do whatever she wants them to do, and it's kind of fun to see how she's all the time trying to figure things out as long as she's awake, and she's taught me that when a dog is awake, it's training. Everything it does when it's awake, it's training, and it's going to get better at it. But she's when it's ice hockey on TV, she always like walks around in front of the TV and in the house. She never calms down, and it took quite a long time before I put everything together. But when there's a goal, when the right team is making a goal in the ice hockey, then my boyfriend is really happy, and he's jumping up and screaming like "Yay!" And then she gets really happy and thinks that that's really, really fun. So now every time there's ice hockey on TV, she just wanders back and forward. She walks back and forward and looking at him all the time and just waiting for him to jump up. And it can be like several games where there's no goal and nothing is happening, but she's still wandering around. So she's always training and figure things out. So that's she's 10 and she's still doing like this. So
I love it. A dog that loves ice hockey. That definitely would be one of my friends for sure. Cari, it has been a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us today. Please hang on just a second as we close. And again, thank you much for being on. On behalf of my guest today, Cari Rorstrom, calling in from Sweden today here on the Dog Works Radio Show. We will see you guys next time. Goodbye.
This episode of the podcast is sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company. Learn more at firstpaw.coffee.
From First Paw Media, this is Dog Works Radio. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we invite you to subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find a link on the episode notes. You can tap or swipe on the episode cover art, and you'll see some offers from our sponsors. You can support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have heard, we would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe too. Your hosts are Robert and Michelle Forto. Our producer is Robert Forto and created for First Paw Media. Did you know that Alaska Dog Works trains service dogs for those in need throughout North America? Each and every service dog that is trained through the Lead Dog Service Dog Program and Michelle Forto and her team has an individual training plan. We train for autistic, mobility, psychiatric, and PTSD for our soldiers for service work. If you know of someone that may need a service dog, please take a moment and check out Alaska Dog Works on social media and at alaskadogworks.com.